Welcome back. In today's special, we are speaking about brands and advertisers rooting for India contingent at Paris Olympics 2024. Sujatha, correct me if I'm wrong, Visa has been associated with Olympics globally since 1986, I believe.
86.
That's right? So since
Yes,
1986, so how, give us an insight or, an understanding on how does Visa overall think about these associations and how do they go beyond, let's say, performance outcomes of these athletes that, they associate themselves with?
So Visa is the global sponsor for two of the biggest sports events in the world,
FIFA
Olympics and FIFA.
Yeah.
Yeah, FIFA and Olympics. So, and this has been going on for a long time, and we have planned to continue this for a good time into the future. Like I said earlier, it's never about just the performance. We obviously are delighted if our Team Visa athletes get medals, but that's not the reason we associate with them. We see how they fit with the brand. How do we take it forward? And it's a relationship both ways. So I just want to tell you, for example, Shibani, in November last year, when the Paris Village opened for the Olympics the first time, we actually gave an offer to all the Team Visa athletes to come for a 2-day summit, see what the games is like, the village, what will you see, how will it be? And a number of our athletes actually went and they said this was an experience they wouldn't have got any other way. So it's not only about the brand, but how can we help each of the athletes who are part of our family? And even from an India side, when we promote this, it's not about just promoting the brand, but it's about promoting the support for these athletes. I'll give you a small example. We all know that Tokyo 2020, which was actually in 2021, was one with no audience.
Yeah.
So what we did is we actually ran a campaign for PV Sindhu called A Million Cheers. We said she's going without any audience there. Can we send 1 million cheers? And to our amazement, within 1 week, we actually got 8.5 million cheers. So
wow.
This year, obviously in Paris, it's very different. We don't need to send cheers, but what we're trying to do is to get the whole billion population involved. And we're talking to them. We're doing something called the Ultimate Fan Challenge, asking people to do challenges that Sindhu and Neeraj themselves has posed. And those who win will actually get a chance to meet their dream athletes.
Well, I'm definitely applying for this challenge. I want to participate in that. But Nipun, tell us how is, Yes Bank extending the support to the Olympic contingent beyond just an association with the contingent?
Yeah, so we actually launched a specific savings account, which is called the Yes Glory, which is not only for the Olympians, as we said, these are very select, not even 1% of the population which wants to go, which is participating to go into Olympics. So this is going to run across for all the athletes. Yeah. All athletes are eligible to apply for this savings account. This is specially crafted for them. It has features like right from health to coaching, to nutrition, to travel services, to Forex, which has been specially crafted for keeping in mind what the athlete needs.
Divyanshu, at JSW Sports, you deal with these athletes on a day-to-day basis. You also manage some of them. Give us an understanding on, how can Indian corporate or Indian, companies step up to extend their support for the preparation beyond Paris as well?
See, the one good thing which has happened is that this Olympic cycle is happening in an interim of 3 years only,
3 years, that's
right?
So now.
And the other good thing has been that we've had back-to-back big multi-sporting events happening. You had the Commonwealth Games, you had the Asian Games. Yeah. So one big challenge that it has combated is that Olympic athletes, even if they play very competitive sport, global sport, their visibility on television, on media used to be restricted. Now, of course, it cannot be compared to a sport which is broadcast every day, but still that's getting much, much better, right? So, and I think the truth of the Indian sporting ecosystem is, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai, right? So as that is changing, right? And it's so heartwarming to see everyone talking about Neeraj, Sindhu. The other day I was at Brigade Road and you see hoardings of Nikat Zareen, Mirabai Chanu, Neeraj Chopra. So that's a tectonic shift and change that you are seeing. And one of the reasons for that change is also because if brands are investing in Olympic sports, there is not that much of clutter which would be there in other sports, right? So from that perspective, huge opportunity. to answer your question of how is it that brands can get involved, I think in this journey, brands are leveraging content. Brands are leveraging that what are the pain points that exist in the Indian athlete's journey, and there are many pain points, right? And each and every different category, like Nipun's talking about, what is it that the financial services can do? What is it that a hospitality company could do? What is it that a nutrition company can do when India is one of the top violators when it comes to doping, right? So you identify these many gaps that still exist in the Indian ecosystem, and you'll realize that there would be a lot of purpose-led association that could happen. So I think that's a directional shift which is happening, and it will present immense opportunities which are beyond just media as well.
Yeah. And the main concern for brands is visibility around these sporting events. Now, this is like a month-long extravaganza that is going to happen, starting in the next few days. But having said that, what are some of the engagement opportunities that brand can build around, these 20-25 days of Olympics that happens in Paris? What are some of the examples that you have seen in the past many years that have been successful case studies of, maybe some global brand that implemented at the previous Olympics?
Look, this is you need to see this entire from the situation from the perspective of the number of days that is given to cricket to kind of evolve into such a big spectator sport. We did some calculation last year. If you really look at simply the number of India days of cricket, it's about half the year, like about 100 days out of 300. And here you're talking about 20 days of overall Olympics, which is more a festival of humanity where Indians will get very little, airtime. And I think many brands have done stuff around send-offs, where it's not just about your time at the stadium or at the arena, but even at the airports, what they are doing, their moments of anticipation, their moments of excitement, their moments of anxiety. And I've seen some work in the past done by phone brands as to how they are connecting with their families, etc. So how do you look at these athletes as not just performing humans and humans under pressure, but also as regular everyday people who are going far away from their homes, with packed their suitcases with hopes and expectations. So I guess brands have a queue in there. Many brands have done work. Beverage brands have done work around that. Food brands have done work around that. I'd like to also point out at some very interesting other opportunities like Olympics. While we talk about all these, maybe about 17 or 18 Indian Army athletes who are going. So there is clearly there is a community out there which kind of warms up very well to, the defense forces. So things can be done out there. Very interesting fact. I don't know if any brand is going to leverage that. We have about 10 dogs from our CRPFs and ITBPs and all our forces who are going there as the K9 squad. Who would have heard of that? So there is a huge security squad comprising dogs, and out of which 10 of them are Indian. Yeah. So I wonder if if Pedigree is listening to me or any other food dog brand is listening.
That's a good thought. Vinit, final thoughts. How should advertisers measure the success of their Olympic association? Can you give us the key metrics or KPIs?
Yeah. So when it comes to Olympics, Shibani, most advertisers that we deal with are looking at the return on objectives as a measure of success rather than return on investments, because your objectives for Olympics would be very different to any other investments in sport. So for example, purpose-driven advertising, is one big thing that we see around Olympics. Right? So look at what P&G does around the Moms campaign, look at what Amul does around the Taste of India campaign. So it's more of about supporting the country, supporting and cheering for the contingent and looking at Team India shine at the global stage is the narrative at the heart of the advertisers campaign that we see. So therefore one need not look at Olympic as a movement or as a campaign from a sheer measurement standpoint, but from a supporting standpoint.
Great thought. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us in the studio today, and thank you for joining us online, Ashish, Sujatha and Hari.
Thanks, Shibani.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap. Goodbye.